Hello, what is up? Welcome to the second episode of this podcast. We're just moving forward, y'all. We had episode 1 not too long ago. Now we got episode 2, and I'm just ready to dive even deeper into empowering you to rise up in faith, freedom, financial independence, and so much more. Which brings me to why I chose today's topic on social media and mental health. So, we're talking about social media in episode 2 because it's a tricky topic. It's necessary to grow your business, whether you sell online products and services or physical products and services. Social media is necessary for your brand and to up your overall influence nowadays, right? But it's such a tricky topic because it also can have a massive negative impact on your mental well-being. We have to remember that success isn't just about influence and the numbers and the following and the finances. It's about feeling successful internally. Do you feel okay? Do you feel healthy? Are you feeling confident? Are there insecurities or depression that's starting to kick in? And social media, although it's great for your business and it's great for your brand, it also can negatively impact your well-being. So I wanted to talk about that today because I feel like I see so many online gurus that talk about how to grow on social media. And you know what? I'm one of those gurus because in this podcast, I am going to talk about what it looks like to grow your social media following, but I'm going to take a slightly different approach by adding in what it looks like to grow on social media without jeopardizing your mental health. What does that look like to move forward in God's calling for you without jeopardizing your well-being, without feeling like, I don't know how to handle this because the world is so cold and opinions are so big and it's just too much. There is a way to do it. I feel like I'm getting better and better at this every day, and I just want to teach you what I've done to grow on social media, but also maintain my mental well-being as well in a really positive way. So let's get into it. And y'all already know to kick off these episodes, I always want to start with scripture, just as a way to inspire us and lift up our spirits a little bit. So today's scripture is actually from Ephesians 15:5, and it says, "So be careful how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of your time here on earth." And the reason why I love this verse so much is because it's reminding us to remain smart in how we choose to live our life. And that includes how we choose to live our online life, aka social media. How are we showing up? Are we being wise with it? Are we making the best use of our time on it to go in the direction that God is calling us to go, to lead, to level up in the ways that we desire to or that God desires for us? So I really want us to be mindful of that. It's not about trying to fit in on social media. It's not about just trying to go with the trends and step back on God's calling for you. No, it's about taking what is trending right now in this world and how can you leverage that as a way to step into God's calling for you? How can you leverage that as a way to increase your overall influence in a positive manner where you are changing lives, your leadership is leveling up? Because again, it's not all about you. In fact, it's never about you, right? At the end of the day, no matter what we do or the steps we take or where God is calling us to go, it's not so much about us, but about how we're impacting other people. And social media is a really great place to do that if we're able to master it in a healthy way. So let's go ahead and dive into 3 tips that I want to leave you with on how you can grow your social media to level up your business without jeopardizing your mental health. All right, let's do this. Tip number 1 in growing your social media following and overall influence without jeopardizing your mental health. The first tip is consistency with boundaries. Be consistent in order to grow your social media, but have boundaries in order to avoid mental burnout. Easier said than done, right? But you have to understand that there is a massive difference in consistency and capacity. Consistency does not mean going all in on content creation and basically killing your mental health because you're in that hustle mode. If you're constantly staying in that day to day, day after day with social media, then you will get consumed with playing the comparison game that feeds different levels of depression and insecurities. Be consistent, but have boundaries. Be consistent, but with limitations. Be consistent with your mental health in mind. Every social media platform has their own specific algorithms that cater to how you can grow your engagement and increase the amount of likes and comments that you get. And for those of you that feel like your engagement or your following is dropping off, or maybe it's not growing in the ways that you want right now, try not to think so much about posting more, and just think more in the realm of posting consistently. All right, so what does that look like? For me, consistency without jeopardizing my mental health means posting 3 to 4 times a week. I do not care to post every single day. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if the algorithm on these social platforms changes to where they're like, nah, you gotta post 7 days a week. I don't care. I am sticking to 3 to 4 times a week because that is what works well for me. I post 3 to 4 times. I engage, meaning I comment on other people's posts and I respond to DMs and I interact with everyone on these social platforms, maybe for about 20 minutes every other day, because I don't want to be consumed. And I know myself, and you know you, right? A lot of times we will get consumed with the comments and the, do people like this? And what should I post here? And oh, I just don't know. I'm trying to grow this business. And we get so overwhelmed. We might not even realize how overwhelmed we are. A lot of times we think that we have to be consistent on all the platforms. There's a lot of social media platforms out there, y'all. There's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest. There's so much out there. Now, is it important to be in those spaces? Absolutely, of course. But you got to take it one step at a time. So start with one social media platform that you want to go all in on when it comes to growing and being consistent without jeopardizing your mental health. Make sure you have that schedule. What does that look like for you? Maybe it's being consistent on social media every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe it's just Tuesdays and Thursdays. What does that look like for you? Okay? Now, another thing that I want to say in order to grow your social media without jeopardizing your mental health, under this tip of consistency with boundaries, to be able to achieve that, I do want to mention that it is important to understand what is actually working in that social media app right now. Okay, so in other words, what is trending? What is that social platform highlighting? What challenges are happening that people are participating in for fun within these social platforms? What audio is trending? What kinds of posts does your audience like the most, or do they engage with the most? Doing that kind of research on what's working is really important to help you grow. Now, again, it's not about being overly obsessed with it, right? It's not about that. It's just about understanding what is working in today's world, in today's online space, meeting them and meeting it where it's at, and taking your own creative and healthy spin on it, okay? So if you see a video, right? Like let's say you see a challenge on Instagram that seems to be trending like crazy right now. If it fits with the niche that you're in, how can you participate in that challenge by taking a creative spin on it while still moving in the direction that God is calling you towards? It's not about trying to be like everyone else and doing what everyone else is doing. It's meeting them where they are at. so that you can show up with your God-given voice and your God-given gifts and position yourself as an authority in what is trending. You can do that in a way where you're still moving toward where God is calling you. See what's trending, take your own creative approach in it. As long as you are sticking to the message that you want to portray in this world, do it. This can definitely help you grow, and it can help you remain consistent because you get to a point where you feel like you're never running out of ideas. You are researching and seeing what's trending in these social media apps. And by the way, to see what's trending, just simply scroll. Look at those Instagram reels. Look at the TikTok videos. I think there's even resources out there online that specifically show you what is trending this very week. And if you put the energy into understanding what's trending, participate, take your own creative approach on it where you're able to spread your message, then it's easier to be consistent because you're not running out of ideas, right? So keep that in mind. And also, y'all, authenticity is key. Authenticity is key. No matter what you post or how often you show up on these social media platforms, be consistent, do your research, but also be authentic. Don't feel like you have to be like every other dreamer out there. You can be you. You can share your unique God-given voice. You have to remember that you have your own unique DNA in you. That says something. God specifically made you like no other person in this entire world, right? So it's really important to step into that. Be authentic, be you, be the person that God made you to be. Meet people where they're at within these trends and grow on social media. Be consistent on social media while still having those boundaries. All right, tip number 2 to grow your social media without jeopardizing your mental health is to batch create. Batch create, batch create, batch create. I literally cannot say this enough. It has done wonders for me and my business and really just helping me be consistent as we talked about previously. So when I say batch create, I'm talking about the fact that you would create multiple posts prior to the week that you're going to be posting them. For example, most of the time, my batch creation days are on Fridays and Saturdays because that's when I'm able to be the most flexible with my time, okay? So I might create 3 different Instagram reel videos on Friday. On Saturday, I might get a couple of posts together and edit them. And by the end of Saturday, I have 5 posts ready to go on social media. That means I don't have to worry about trying to figure out what to post throughout the upcoming week. I don't have to be too concerned with doing the research or seeing what's trending because I already did it ahead of time. And this is especially helpful for those who are listening that are parents or that currently work a 9-to-5. When we have other obligations or responsibilities, it becomes difficult to find time to do things like this. That's why batch creating can be so essential. So let's say you post or you plan on posting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? To be consistent. By the time Monday comes around, you should already have a post ready. By the time Wednesday comes around, you should already have a post ready. Same thing for Friday. Plan ahead. Batch create. This is going to save you time and energy. I cannot tell you how much I love going into the week not feeling concerned with not having anything to post or engage with my audience on within these social platforms. I already have it ready. It's already created. So batching your creation, batching that content can be super, super helpful to stay consistent. And because of that consistency, to help you grow and making sure that you're setting those boundaries. If you plan ahead, it's a lot easier to set those boundaries with social media when you already know what you're going to be posting to engage with your audience and to grow your following. All right, the last tip that I want to leave you with when it comes to growing your social media without jeopardizing your mental health is to focus on your calling, not people pleasing. I'm going to say that one more time. Focus on your calling, not people pleasing. It is really difficult to avoid stepping into the realm of people pleasing on social media. And the reason why is because when we have this goal of growing and scaling and leveling up, naturally, we automatically think of the numbers, right? How many likes am I getting? How many comments am I getting? How many views am I generating? We think about that from a number, from a numerical standpoint. But if we lead with the numbers, then subconsciously, we might step into people pleasing. If the numbers don't look the way that we want them to, then we're going to do whatever we can to level up those numbers. We're going to try to people please and people please and people please. Do they like this? Do they like me? Do they like this content? And before we know it, we're caught up in the people pleasing cycle. And then within the next week, we're like, why do I feel so burnt out? Why does this feel so heavy? It's because you've put them first. You've put their thoughts first and their opinions about you and your content and your voice. You put all of that first before what you think of your own self and before what God thinks of you. Remember what we talked about in the previous podcast episode. God thinks highly of you. He wants you to be prosperous as long as you follow His will for you. It's not about people pleasing. It's about focusing on your calling and how you can leverage social media to do that. Now, it is important on social media to pay attention to, as we said before, what's working and what's not working, right? Where do you need to pivot and where do you need to shift in your content, your strategy, what you're posting so that you can increase engagement? Right? It's important to be mindful of what your audience is going to relate the most to or engage the most with. But that's different than people pleasing. It's different than getting caught up with that. And you want to be mindful of that as you go about your social media growth strategies. So be consistent in posting. Focus on your calling as you do. Don't worry so much about the people pleasing. You can shift and pivot where needed, but just keep at it. Keep posting, keep posting. If one video did not get all the views that you wanted, or one post didn't get the likes that you wanted, keep going. You test, you try, you test, you try, you test, you try until you succeed. What works the best for you to get your voice out there, for you to get your message out there, for you to step more into God's calling for you and leveraging social media to help you expand that? What does that look like? All right, so as a recap, in this episode, we talked about 3 tips to help you grow on social media without jeopardizing your mental health. And those 3 tips were consistency with boundaries, batch creating, and focusing on your calling, not people pleasing. Now, I hope all of this was really helpful for you. And I hope over the next couple of weeks, you start to look at social media differently. You start to feel more confident in how you're going to level up both your social growth and your mindset while you are at it. And by the way, if you are someone who wants nothing to do with social media, that is okay. You don't have to be on social media. Now, a lot of times I will say that it's necessary, especially if you have a business that you want to bring to life, because billions of people are on there and it's important to be where other people are at, meet them where they are at to get your message across, to expand your voice to a multitude of different countries. And I do think that that's really important. However, if you feel like social media isn't for you, or if you need a sabbatical from social media, tune into that. Listen to that. Because at the end of the day, your well-being matters. All right, so just to wrap up, know that we will have other podcast episodes in the future on social media, marketing, faith, freedom, how you can maintain your mental well-being. So much stuff that I'm excited to create for you. So stay tuned for that. And if you want some more resources, if you want some more guidance on topics similar to this podcast episode, you can go ahead and join my email community in the show notes down below or in the YouTube description down below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you join my email list, I send out an email once a week providing essential tips on personal and business development. I would definitely be happy to have you a part of my email community. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Much love.